welcome back to Just Code It. Today we're going to be taking a look at some more LangGraph graphs. Specifically, we're going to look at multiple inputs and multiple outputs, and then we're going to come up with a graph that calculates a student's grade, a grade calculator that an LM could essentially take the information from the student's grade and then come up with their final grade. To the right, you can see the final graph state that we're going to aim for. And like always, we're just going to do our imports and get going. First thing we're going to do is create that state structure. This one is going to be called student state, and it's going to inherit from typedict, like always. What the student state is going to be made up of is scores, student names, course name, and grade report. The only one that you might not know is grade report, where we generate everything. It's our output of the graph. Now let's move on to actually creating our functions. For a node function, we really only have one. It's calculate grade. We're creating a pretty big doc string, giving the types of the inputs, description, and outputs. We can just fold that up. After creating the calculate graph and creating the definition, we're then going to start filling out this functionality. The first thing we're going to do is calculate the average scores. To do this, we're just going to sum all the scores within the state and then divide it by the length of the scores. This will give us the arithmetic mean of all the scores. Next, after creating the average scores, we're going to apply the standard grading scales. Above 90 is A, 80 is B, 70 is C, 60 is D, and then F is everything below. After creating that grading scale and setting it, we're then going to create our final report. After creating the average scores and the grading scale, we're going to create our final report. We do this by grabbing the grading report and setting it equal to this formatted string where we're just going to do student, course, individual score, average score, and final score. This will just show up as a formatted string. It's nothing too fancy. After that, we're just going to print it and return the state. Now we have moved on to creating our actual graph, creating our workflow essentially. Here we're going to set graph equal to state graph and then student state, that initial state. Then we're going to do our entry point. We're going to have our entry point at grade calculator, and our first node is going to be graph.addNode grade calculator at the grade calculator grade. After setting the entry point, we're then going to add the node. Here we're doing add node, giving it a name, and then passing it our method, which is the calculate grade. We're going to then tell it what the end node is, which is also the start node because it's a single node. These two top and bottom ones are absorbing functions essentially. Finally, we're going to compile the app and hopefully nothing errors. Oh, did I forget to run the other one? Yeah, forgot to run the previous one, but that should work. Now we can print our plot. Nothing too special there. This is a bit optional. I've been saving them because this is a pretty crappy image. So I export it as a more mermaid file, and then you can run, if you have the command line tool, you can essentially convert it into a CVG. I didn't feel like figuring out how to do it in Python, but you can also just export an image, and they're pretty bad quality. Finally, after printing and saving the graph structure, we're going to invoke the graph and make sure everything's running. We're going to give it scores, which is a list of scores, student name, course, and then we're hopefully going to get a grade report back from this. Let's actually go over here. There, that will print it a bit better. Here you can see we have that structured text output with the individual scores, average scores, final grade, and creating that report that we want. Again, we can structure it just a bit more fancy and add some lines above it and create an actual final report. It's really no different than what we did above. That is it for multi-input LangGraph. Those first two ones were pretty slow. Up next, we're going to start doing conditional routing. The graph we're going to be creating will branch into 3 different paths and then go to 3 different nodes, doing 3 different operations, and then converging back to an end. This will be a bit more tricky and actually more useful than just a sequence, which you can use LangChain for. That's kind of what it's good at. but these graphs are what LangGraph is good at. But that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time.